Alrighty, so welcome back. I know it's been a little bit since I posted a video, but I have a few things to share. So you can see my magic little spinner here. Ooh, I spun my camera too. See, it just wouldn't be me if I didn't make the camera jiggle or Gretel wasn't up here causing chaos. Anyways, this great little organizer that I got my paws on holds so much stuff. I don't even have enough stuff to put in there yet. I'm working on it. So I just wanted to show you this because it's really cool. It sits on my table downstairs. So when I'm working downstairs, I have everything I need at my fingertips. And it doesn't really take up a lot of room, but it holds so much stuff. It's crazy. So got my Poskas, my jelly rolls, my white pens, and some miscellaneous stuff over here. Some tools, I guess you can say. But this isn't really what this video is about, but I wanted to share this with you. Okay, I'm gonna slide this aside since we will be using a few of these items in this video. So I'm just gonna scooch it over here. Now I'm gonna have a seat. So underneath this fabulous black paper, I have, you guessed it, some Posca pens. Now, these Posca pens, this is the pastel set. These are the 5mm or 1.8 to 2.5 millimeter tip, which usually I don't use these large size tips. I use the fine point or the extra fine point. But we're gonna use these because they were sent to me, so yay me. But these pastel colors are so pretty. I'm super excited. And a lot of you don't know that the Poscas have this wonderful little feature. So let's just take the cap off here. And these are new, I haven't used them. I haven't tested them or anything. But you have your white tip here. Now, you can pull your tips out and flip them over if one side gets, messed up or something, or to rinse them out after you're done using them, which I like to do is rinse them with warm water. That avoids them getting clogged up. So you just, take them out when you're done using them. Make sure you put your cap back on, leave your pens upright, run these under warm water, and then leave them to dry. And then once they're dry, you can go ahead and put them back in your pen and store your paint pens away. So I hope that little tidbit helps you guys so you can avoid any frustrations with the paint pens. Anyways, so I'm just gonna do a few little things here with these to show you some great uses. And one of the tools I have here is this little thing. This is actually an embossing tool used to emboss paper, but it has so many other uses as well, including work with gel pens and Posca paint pens. So I'm gonna show you how to use this with your Posca paint pens to correct mistakes. So we're not gonna really do anything else with it other than show you how to fix a mistake. So I hear a lot of people, they're like, oh my gosh, every time I use those, I always put too much paint down, or I get it everywhere and I can't get it off the paper. This is gonna help you with that. So I'm just gonna quickly use these colors on some black paper here to show you what these pastel colors look like. And then we're gonna do a couple different things with colored pencil and your Posca paint. So let's get started here, and I'm gonna start with the blue. So I didn't prime these, so bear with me. And these are already pretty shaken up, but you do wanna make sure that you shake your pens really well before you use them to mix up the paint inside. Now, to prime them, all you have to do is press down. Hold it for a few seconds and you'll start to see the white tip will turn the color of the pen. And once that happens, your paint will begin to flow. And sometimes it takes a few times, or just hold it for, a few moments. they can kind of be persnickety, but see, as the blue is coming through that. Now, that brings me to another point. You can zoom in while you're watching these videos, just like you would zoom in to view a photo. You just kind of squeeze and pinch on the image so that you can zoom in if you can't see very well. Okay, so this is the blue, and on the back of the box, which of course is on the other side, so give me a second here, flip this over. The back here, it tells you the color names. And this one is called Sky Blue. So I always have to be at an angle here, so I hope I'm still in camera view. And you can see how nice that went down. I didn't do it slowly, I kind of went quickly, but that's your Sky Blue. And then we have our Aqua Green. Again, I'm gonna have to start this one out, which I should have done this before, but I didn't. So I apologize for you having to wait and watch me prime these. But why I'm doing this, why we're waiting for these primes and I'm writing these colors out so you can see what they look like on black paper, I wanted to touch on something that I've seen a lot of lately. A lot of caddy behavior between coloring groups and colorists themselves. Now, we're talking about grown-ups, adult people doing childish things, and it's really unfortunate when I hear and see behavior like that. It drives me nuts, because you should be supporting each other and not stabbing each other in the back. This one is called Sunshine Yellow. Anyways, I see things like people will post ideas, something they came up with, and then somebody else will run with that idea and say, I'm the first person that came up with this and I want everybody to know. When in fact, they weren't the first person to come up with that idea. They just happened to see that somebody else did and they wanted to use the idea as well. And that's fine. If you want to use other people's ideas to do things, that's great. I say run with it. Ideas aren't copyrighted, so it's not a big deal to do that. That Sunshine Yellow is really pretty, huh? So the next one is Apricot. But there's a way to do that, and there's a way not to do it. When you start to alienate your followers and other artists, especially big name artists and social media influencers, when you start to do that, it only makes you look bad. So if somebody has an idea that they put out there that you like, the least thing that you can do, if you're gonna mimic that idea or use it to build on your own idea, is either give credit where credit is due and thank that person for coming up with the idea, or simply let people know that you came up with an idea similar to somebody else's. It's not being disrespectful. I'm just saying it avoids catty behavior and it avoids any hard feelings and bad talk, so to say. Because if it's one thing I don't like, is integrity blunders. It's all about your character. And when you let your integrity hit the bottom floor, then that's what people see about you. So I like to share all my ideas, and I say if it helps somebody else, please by all means use my ideas. This one is coral pink. These colors are really pretty. But I would never make claim that my idea was my own if I borrowed it or got the idea from somebody else. But again, I don't have any issues with people using my ideas. I don't own them. They're just ideas. So by all means, use them, run with them, do whatever you may. But if you do it to somebody else and then you block them or remove them from your group, again, that's all about integrity. And when you do that, it makes you look bad. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there because I see a lot of this going on. And then I see what happens is the person who borrowed the idea goes and starts bad-mouthing the other person. And it's like, why would you do that? Just to try to make people choose sides? It's really childish behavior. This is light pink. But anyways, I'm not throwing stones at anyone. That one's really pretty. I'm not making a stink over nothing. I just see things. And I tend to stay in the background and stay out of people's drama. But if I'm ever drug into it, you'll bet your bottom dollar I'm going to say something. And that's just because I'm honest and sometimes brutally honest. And I don't mean to be, but that's just who I am. And I've learned over the years that being honest and having integrity is so important. So this is lavender. And I know it probably doesn't show on camera. These probably look similar, but they're really different. But anyways, just keep that in mind when artists share their ideas with you. They're sharing it to benefit you. They're sharing it so that you can use those ideas. So if you use the ideas that they share, at least give an honorable mention and thank them for sharing that idea so that you can carry on that idea and apply it to your own page or group or whatever you're applying that to. It's just a respect thing. So moving on past all of that, I hope that somehow with any drama that's out there that people can find a way to support each other, no matter whether they agree or disagree with certain things, coloring styles, AI, non-AI, human artists, digital artists, etc. I'm all for any kind of art. Art is art. And I support that. And my big support is human sketch artists. So when I say human, I mean people who sit down with pen and ink and sketch out images. You know, I have a high respect for that. One, because I can't draw for nothing. But it's a type of art that is being lost with computer technology. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort for these artists to sit down and put their creative caps on and put those beautiful thoughts to work on a piece of paper to share with you so that you can enjoy it and create these colorful works of art. So we should be supporting each other and building each other up and not stabbing or back-mouthing each other in the back. We're all adults and everybody needs to act like an adult and set these examples for the younger generations to follow. So moving on past my rant now that I've shared that. Okay, these colors are beautiful. I love them. I think this set of pastels by Posca is great. Now, I did it on black paper to show you the contrast. And you can see it's already dry. No problems with this at all. Since they're dry, now I'm gonna show you a little trick with this tool. So let's say you got too much of this color on the paper and you wanna get it off. I don't know how well this is gonna work on this paper here, but what you do, you can come in here with this tool. And yeah, see, it's not gonna work on this paper because it's a charcoal paper. It's really soft, so it soaks in. But I'm gonna show you once you do it with colored pencil. So my little scraps of Strathmore paper here. I always save my scraps to use for things. So let's set this aside. Now, let's do just one flower. I'm gonna turn my paper here, so I'm gonna do this one right here. This is pumpkin orange. I need my glasses, ugh. Okay. I'm just gonna put a little bit of color in here with some blending, ever so slightly. I'm not trying to be perfect. I just wanna lay this in here for you so we can use these Poscas on some examples. Okay, I'm gonna use my goldenrod. I'm gonna blend that in a little bit. Getting around that edge really good there. So I'm just blending those two colors, keeping a darker edge to the left as my light, I assume, is coming from my right. Okay, now this is sand, or yeah, sand. And I'm gonna fill in that light spot. And I'm gonna pull it in just a little bit on an outward motion here. Small circles always works best when you're blending colors, unless you're going for fur or hair or something along those lines. Then you want to use a different technique. Okay, so I got my center down. Now I'm going to grab my black grape. I'm going to do one of these petals. Actually, I might do two. Now I'm just laying my super dark color right at the base here. And as I lay the dark color at the base towards the center of the flower, I lighten my pressure because I'm gonna blend other colors and I don't wanna struggle to blend. So you wanna have a light pressure, so a heavy to light pressure going from the bottom up. Now I'm gonna take my Dahlia purple, which is 1009, and I'm gonna blend that over my super dark, and I'm gonna pull that out in a light circular pattern, doing a light layer here. So I'm blending those two colors, but you can see the transformation in the color as I'm bringing it upward. So we're just gonna do a 4-color blend here. See how I did that? Now I'm gonna grab my, the new color, which is Amethyst 1104. I chose to use the new colors to feature them a little bit. Now I'm gonna grab that previous layer, just the edge of it, in small circles I'm blending upward. And you might have to go over this a couple times, layering it, just to get that really good blend in there. And you can see that I'm doing the circular motion. That blends the Dahlia and 1104. So you're going for a seamless line. Now don't worry if you can still see some of your paper through this. Now we're gonna do 1105, you guessed it, Orchid, which is the other replacement color, so a new release. And I am going to do that last little bit of white at the top there, blending with my 1104, or excuse me, yeah, 1104. Throwing new colors at me, I gotta remember. Now I'm gonna carry this down a little bit. So I'm blending using my final light color, which is 1105. I'm not gonna put white on this. I tend not to use white to blend with anyway because it's an opaque color and it blands out your colors when you do that. So unless you're going for that more white look, I suggest you don't use white as a blender and you use a blender pencil. And there's a lot of them on the market. Okay, I'm almost got this good and coated. So you can see it's a really gradual color change, and I used 4 colors. Now, we have this beautiful lavender Posca. So I am going to right at my edge down here. These are bold tips, so I'm really sorry. I wish these were a finer tip, but they're not. I'm just going around the edge, that black line, and putting a little highlight in there. Now, here's where we're gonna let that dry for a second, because it looks kind of sloppy, right? So while that dries, I'm gonna go back to my black grape and I'm gonna work on my next petal. Keeping in mind that that little bit of paint there on the corner, I don't wanna mix that in. So again, it's always best to do more than one, but for all intents and purposes of this video, I wanna show you. Now I'm gonna grab my dahlia. I'm gonna blend that. And I'm just using, again, light, small circles. These aren't perfect, but this is gonna give you an idea. And again, this isn't gonna be a long video, but I just wanted to show these beautiful pastels a little bit. They're really nice. Now, 1104. I'm just mixing those at the edge ever so slightly. And my last color, which is 1105, right at the top. Now I'm gonna bring that down and I'm gonna blend over my darkest areas using my lightest color again as my blending color. I tried to make this one a little darker so you guys can see this on camera. Didn't get quite as smooth of a line because I got a little ahead of myself, but that's okay. Nobody's perfect. Okay, now that I've done that, this should be dry. Yes, it is. Now with my tool, because I got a really thick line here, this should work perfectly. This ain't quite the fine tip that I like, but we're gonna try it. So you can come in here and see, it'll actually peel right off. Don't use heavy pressure though, or you'll emboss your paper. So you want to just use light pressure when you do this. And you see how I was able to move that paint right off top that colored pencil, because that paraffin / wax in the pencil makes it really easy to remove your Posca if you get too thick of a crazy line in there. So the worst thing you can do is panic and try to wipe it off. So you see how it was able to thin that out? It's just an embossing tool. You can get these in sets where they have different size tips, and they're great because there's all kinds of really cool techniques you can do with your embossing tools and colored pencils. So you might want to check these out. I'll put a link in the description to a set on Amazon that frankly I like. It's a good little set and it gives you a lot of different options. A lot of people who do, I forget the name of that paper art. You know, they make shapes with the little strips of paper and stuff. It's really cool. I'm not that agile with my fingers. So anyways, okay. So we did that and I showed you that little trick there. Now you can always come back in with your really light pencil and go over and touch up any areas. So you can still see where I put that highlight of that Posca in there. Now for the center part, I used the pumpkin orange. So I'm gonna take this beautiful shade of coral, or I guess, yeah, is this coral? Or is this apricot? I think this is the coral pink. I'm just gonna go right in the center here and put a couple little dots to kind of represent that center. Now I'm gonna let that dry. Don't forget it's wet. You don't wanna wipe your hand over it. So when that's dry, you'll be able to touch it and it'll be a little raised up if you just leave the dots as they are. But some people like to pat them down so that it looks more uniform and natural. Sometimes I just leave them alone. So anyways, that's a really cool little technique you can do there. Now, I'm gonna use the flower again. I'm gonna take this purple, but I'm gonna do it here. I'm going to fill in one of these petals with the paint. Now, please forgive me again, these are really wide points. Now, because that's so thick, I wanna try to stay in those lines. So you see there's a larger ball on the end of this tool. Before it dries, I'm gonna quickly come in here and I'm gonna move that paint around with this embossing tool. I'm not even pressing hard. I'm just moving the paint to the edge to fill in those white gaps. It also makes your paint pens go a lot farther, but you gotta do this before it dries. Okay, that's it. And it wipes off that metal really easy. So I always have wet wipes around. I just wipe it off, or a wet paper towel works really good. So while that's drying, now that I showed you that cool little technique, you can also use that for gel pens too. When you put your gel pen down, you can let it dry and remove excess with this. And you can also spread it around with this. So let's take, let's do this aqua color over here. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that aqua down here at the bottom. And I'm gonna work quick here because this is gonna dry. I'm gonna take my tip of my emboss tool. See how I'm pulling that color up? It's already drying. It dried super fast on me. But you gotta be quick. So your embossing tool, you can use your paint pens and use really cool techniques, just like you would with regular acrylic paints or watercolor paints and different tools. So those are just different effects you can do as highlights. So you put a dab of the white and kind of spread it out. For all intents and purposes, let's grab my white pen out of my little cart over here. This is, oh, that one's too fine. What's this one here? This is an off-white. So, is that dry? That's dry. Let's put a little of this white down here. Ooh, whoa, see what I did there? Now, that poured out. That's a big blunder. So I'm glad that was on camera. You guys can see that we all make mistakes. Now, if I dare touch it, that's gonna go everywhere. That stinks. But anyways, what I was gonna show you is you can put the white over the lavender and you can draw your lines out using your embossing tool. But I guess we could just fill this one in with that cream color, right? And let it dry. So I'm just pushing the paint to the edge. That was pretty funny. That was unfortunate, but that was pretty funny. It just wouldn't be one of my videos without a big blunder now, would it? So we're really gonna let that dry, and this pen is, wow. That's got some serious ink flow, huh? Let's use a different one. Let's move that over here. So I have that aqua there. Let's take this dark blue here. Let's go over here with this dark blue. I'm gonna fill this in so I can show you. I can't believe I did that. Too funny. Oh well. Okay, now we have to let that little sucker dry again. And I'm going to find a different white pen. I think, yeah, we can use this one. Yikes, that was a scary, it's kind of funny though, I'm so sorry. So while we're doing that, I'm gonna clean my tip off, and it just peels right off your tip, or like I said, get a wet paper towel and just wipe it off. But that was not my plan on showing you. So definitely gotta let that dry a little bit. But you can always do other things with your white Posca paint, like add little flower pollen drops or something. You can also do that in black if you prefer. Now this is dry over here. So now that orange is dry. I do have a black one. Ugh. I actually just got it. It's in my little caddy here somewhere. There it is. Look, it's brand new. Let's open it. So, ooh, see, it's brand new. Let's prime that sucker. But Posca are great. You can use them on so many different things, not just paper. You can use them on glass. You can use them on rock art, plastic. You can do t-shirts, but remember, if you're doing it on clothing, this will wash out. But if it's just temporary, you know, like a fundraiser or something like that, they're fun just to have fun with, or have the kids create with them. Okay, so I got a little bit of a good flow here with the black. So all I'm gonna do where I put those orange dots is I'm gonna put a little dot of black right on top. A couple little dots here. Okay, so it kind of brings that flower out more. It gives it a little bit of life. Like you're looking inside the center of the flower. Kind of a cool little thing. That is still a bit damp, so give it a couple more minutes there. Then I could show you what I wanted to show you before that happened. Leave it to me to have something like that go terribly awry. But I also put the link to this pastel set. I think they're on Amazon. I'll put this particular set in my description, and hopefully the set with the finer tips, because these are a little bit broad for my taste. Again, I'd be more apt to put the ink down on a separate piece of paper and then dip my embossing pen in it and transfer it over to what I needed. But I'll also put this link in there too, to the set that I like on Amazon, because these are really cool tools. I have other tools in here that I use as well, like this antique paint spatula or paint scraper, so to say. I use them for my chalk pastels. It's not sharp, but it has a dull, sharp edge. So the edge is sharp, but it's not razor sharp, like it's not going to cut you. But I use them to scrape my chalk pastels, and then I use a piece of cloth or a sponge to move them around. So these are also great to have. I think my mom gave me these a long time ago. I forget, but they're really old. And you can find some really neat sets of those as well. So that's another great tool to have. And always a straight edge. A straight edge is a great tool. And then I found this. It's a little tiny stencil with little different sizes of bubbles. So if you're doing a bokeh background, if you want to cheat, you can use one of these. But they're great for anything. Okay, let's test this again. Yeah, it's pretty dry. Okay, so what I was going to show you, let's try this again. Hopefully it works. If not, I kind of give up on it. I'm going to put a little bit of white at the bottom here on top of this dry blue paint. That's all I'm doing, is giving just a little bit. Don't want it to explode again on me. That was horrible. Let's go over here. Why is it just not being cooperative? Tell me I don't have another funky pen. I'm scared it's gonna explode. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, got a little bit of paint there. Now I'm taking my tool. I'm just kind of dragging it across that white. The paper's too wet. Really, truly let it dry. Yeah, it's sticky. So basically the technique was there I wanted to show you was you can use your embossing tool. If you do it right, you can layer your Poscas, but make sure that it dries very well in between your layers or you're just gonna get what I got. It's probably soaked through the other side here a little bit because, yeah, see, the paint was very wet. So it didn't fully dry. My paper was wet, so that's why the white didn't really work very well. So just make sure that when you do it, that's there. This area should be really dry. Let's try to show you that with the black. That should work over the blue. Okay, I put a little bit of the black at the bottom here. Grab my tool really quick again because it dries really fast. You can see I'm just moving the paint. There, that was a better way to show you what. So that's what I was trying to show you here and here, but that went bad and that was too wet. That was really dry. So you can layer your Poscas and give this really cool effect with using this tool. Now, if I let that dry, I can apply another smaller layer of maybe red or purple over that black and drag that color out, kind of feather it up. But there's some really cool techniques that you can do with the Posca paints, this tool, and other tools out there. But I really just wanted to show you that. And I wanted to showcase these beautiful pastel colors here that Posca has put out. Now, they do have a couple new sizes as well. They have a really wide point. So if you're doing big, huge backgrounds, that is like a sponge tip applicator. It just rolls on. I would never use something that big because I don't do portraits or paintings, but what a cool thing for painters to have that wide tipped brush. It's just basically like taking a sponge and wipe it across your paper. It fills in giant backgrounds. So I know these, again, Posca has many different sets. There is a set of glitter Poscas. I don't know how many out there know that, but this is glitter pink. See how it's all sparkly on there? I have blue, I have green, I have orange, or what do they call, I think they call this red, but it looks kind of orange. But they do have a set of glitters. So if you get your hands on the glitter set, they're really cool and they add just enough little bit of sparkle. So I wanted to share these and kind of say something about the little bit of bad behavior that I see amongst artists. It's shameful when I see that and it hurts feelings. So be kind to each other. Whether you like something somebody does or not, you know, you don't have to comment if you don't like it, but be supportive because you never know what somebody is going through in their life and you never know what that person's difficulties are in life. So just remember, be kind to each other and support each other. And support each other's ideas, whether you choose to use their ideas or not, that is up to you. But don't be catty about it. Be an adult and be supportive. The art community is being hit really hard right now with all this AI stuff. And the last thing it needs is a bunch of grown people bickering at each other. So I share ideas left and right, and I hope that you guys take my ideas and freely use them. I have no problem with that. I don't expect any mentions. If you do use my ideas and techniques, I put it out there for the world, and that's what it's there for. But sometimes it's nice when somebody shares an idea or something that you're going to put and make claim to as an original creator of that idea. You might want to give some honorable mentions to other people who use that same idea. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, I hope I've given you some really cool techniques, and I apologize for the little bit of ranting I did on that bad behavior thing, because that wasn't the goal here. It was this. But cool set, lots of fun. Again, let me show you this. Some really pretty colors for the pastel set. And there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors in this set. And these were the, I gotta flip this over, I forgot, I flipped them out. Let's take this out here. These were the wider tips, so the 1.8 to 2.5 millimeter tip. These are pretty wide, which, they're okay. I prefer the skinnier tips. And this tip on the glitter red is a 0.9 to 1.3. So I'll show you this glitter red since I have it out. Let's do it on the black. Red, ooh, it's dry. Okay. Why is it? Oh, see, I did it again. Just when it starts to flow, it gets crazy on me. But it's a fine tip, so we'll just use my little puddle here. Red. I don't know if you can see that. I could take my little tool. We could spread that out. We could spread it out really far because I put a lot on there. Like a red sun, huh? But you can see how that tool works. You can just move it around. As long as it's wet. Once it dries, all you're going to do is scrape it off. So make sure you do it while it's dry, or while it's wet, not while it's dry. There is a lot of paint on there. Wow. Okay. Can you see that shimmer? It's still pretty wet, but it's pretty glittery for an acrylic paint pen. It's pretty shimmer, especially on that black paper. Kind of looks pretty. Okay, so I've messed up twice in my video. I think I'm good. I did my due diligence, because it just wouldn't be one of my videos if there wasn't some kind of mistake. But you can clearly tell that I don't pre-plan these. I just kind of wing it. I have an idea in my head, and I sit down and put it into motion unless I bump the camera. Okay. Enjoy. Have fun with these. I hope I gave you a new little tool to use and something to add to your repertoire, so to say, or your collection, because you can never have too many art supplies or craft supplies, right? All right, ladies and gents, have a wonderful night, and I hope you get your hands on a set of these Posca pastels. And again, one of these fabulous little embossing tools that does so much more than embossing. With that said, happy creating, everybody, and have a wonderful night.